Good day, everyone. My name is B.K. Sidhu. The economic slowdown has left many people without jobs. Several hundreds will lose their job if the economic downturn drags on. Cutting back on their workforce has been a way out for companies affected by the crisis. But is that the right way? And have companies exhausted all other avenues before retrenching their workforce? It is even more challenging for the employees not to have a job during this downturn. So the question to ask companies, are your employees an investment to be managed or an expense to be reduced? Will it help companies in this downturn to engage with the employees, retrain them through learning and development, or just cut back on the workforce? We have with us here at our Studio V, Dr. Wilson Tay, the Chief Executive Officer of Malaysian Institute of Management, or MIM in short. Tay is a well-known educator and management guru. He has been actively involved in public speaking engagements, both locally and overseas, for both the public and private sectors and education institutions. His forte is management topics that includes management leadership, knowledge management, creativity and innovation, human capital, talent management, coaching, mentoring, and SME development. Tay will share with us he's gathered 30 years of knowledge through his career in executive roles in multinational companies, in large corporations, on how to manage your staff strategically in these tough times. Welcome, Dr. Tay.
Thank you, Ms. Sidhu.
Can I begin with asking this question? Engaging and retraining of people are two big words. What do they really mean for the companies and the employees? And how does it contribute to learning and development?
Thank you, Ms. Sidhu, and thank you, Star Job Help, for inviting me and MIM to share with you some of the issues that currently we are facing. And you are right by firstly saying that in this economic slowdown, many companies should start looking at their operational efficiency before you start looking at cutting, the human costs. One of the things is that I think a crisis is also an opportunity. There's been management gurus who say don't waste a crisis, because this is the time where we can make changes and refocus on what is important. So first of all, they have to look at operational efficiency, in terms of using technology to try to do whatever we can to enhance the business. And then after, resorting to other various means like reducing shorter hours, shorter working hours, then as a last resort, there are other means of reducing human, or what we call employees' costs as well. But as a last resort, then you look at either VSS or voluntary separation scheme or retrenchment. And engagement and training is a strategy during these uncertain times, in that during these uncertain times, people sometimes tend to make irrational decisions as well. So engaging and training employees is important to make sure that your talent stay with your organization. And what is important as well, engaging and training should not only be done during difficult times. It should be done all the time, because as we say, human capital is very important to competitiveness in this country and elsewhere. And there is always a war for talents. People are looking for talents all over. So it's very important, especially during these uncertain times, is to make sure that our talents do not actually move out of our own company. And in many respects, there are two areas that you look at. You can look at the micro area and then at the macro area. So micro area is looking at what a firm can do in order to ensure that their talents are being engaged and trained, and also what the government can do in order to make sure that retrenched employees are actually brought back into the productive workforce.
Having said that, but what is the general trend? Is there more retrenchments, or is there more retraining in Malaysia?
I think in our country, I think the government is to be applauded. We have proactively reacted to the situation I think the numbers that have been quoted by the Ministry of Human Resources, that since October of 2008, that's probably about 40,000 employees being retrenched. And that's not a significant number compared to elsewhere, in the world. And not only that, I think the government is to be applauded because they are proactive in the sense that there's a stimulus package to ensure that, retrenched employees are really, replaced back into our productive workforce. The Ministry of Human Resource has a sizable budget to make sure that we have 3 programs, and I thought that they are very good. One is the train and place, and train and replace, and train and retain. So it's part of the, I think, 650 million stimulus package that the government has actually, so you can see from that aspect as a national initiative, it's an investment, that the government is looking at it, not at an expense, but an investment. And I guess, that's the national leadership.
But when you look at companies, it is a challenge for them to retrain. They have to make sure their operational costs are cut. And the first thing they do is cut management, cut the employees. So if they were to provide skills training, in your view, who would benefit most? The company, or the employer, or the employee?
I think in this case it will be both. Because in times like this is that companies are given the opportunity to look at their skill set. There are a number of strategies that you want to look at. One is that to look at your own, what we call business or core competency. Firstly, look at the business or core competency. Then you look at your employees' competency. So in this competitive environment, you need to have a match. All your employees must be competent in order to be able to fulfill the company's competency to achieve its business objective. So I think this is a time for an opportunity for companies to retrain their people. Because the business is moving so fast, the new competencies are required. So sometimes in this slowdown, you have an opportunity to catch your breath, so to speak. So in this situation, companies should then refocus on training their people in the right areas so that it's not only dealing with the current slowdown, but the advantage is to prepare for recovery. Great companies always make sure that this is a good time for them to train their people to take opportunity for the recovery.
So when you look at the cost element, retraining versus retrenchment, which stands out?
I think I will go for retraining first, because as you know, in this competitive world, human capital or employees or talents are going to be the key features in terms of determining the competitiveness of company. So I think that when you have already talent in your organization, it is best to reinvest in them, retrain them, rather than just let them go. And this is why the government is very conscious to not let go, the people into the unemployment situation. Yeah.
We know the government's role, the companies and employees, and the academia and MIM trying to engage. But is there really enough being done by the companies, by the government to help this job market?
I think you're right. A lot needs to be done, so it's a collaborative effort on all parties concerned. Firstly, you would look at the government as being the steward. The government is concerned because our workforce need to be gainfully employed, and if they are gainfully employed, then their competency will be enhanced. So they are the stewards. And then also we have the learning institution, the training institution, which we call the enablers. These are the training institutions that help reposition or reskill our people. And then the employers must also play a part, the employers and the industry. So they must encourage and continue to train our people, irregardless of whether it is good or bad times. And finally, it's the employees themselves. The employees must realize that things are changing so quickly in these uncertain times. So they must continually look at improving their skills so that they can be relevant.
The government has set up a skills training program. Do you know how many people have actually signed up for it? And what more can the government do in this role to help people?
I don't have those specific figures, but I realize that the government is accelerating this program to try to get as many, especially those who are retrenched, to get back into the workforce. Currently, they are lamenting on the fact is that there are very few takers. the government is doing whatever they can, and training institutions like
But are these for the very low end, the skill trainings? Is it for the very low end?
No, it's across the board, not necessary. The low end, because you could have displacement in different industry and different levels of the organization as well. But what's happened is that they have come up with all these initiatives and programs, but maybe most of these people are not aware. And it's always a case of communication. Government have got good intention, good programs, but somehow it is not reaching the people that need it most. So with your programs like this, it is good to let other people or people who have been affected by it know about such available programs, so they can come back and then retrain or reskill themselves.
Are you expecting more job losses, or have they stabilized at this level?
I think it's good to know that overall there's no more this I guess concern. There's not pandemic as such. People have looked at the stock market is slowly coming about. There's stability. At least we can feel that there is some rationale to and in this case I don't think so. I think there will be displacement, right? But I think the government is trying to normalize the situation to provide confidence in the industry. So I don't think there will be sort of a very drastic retrenchment taking place in Malaysia.
If you were to look at somebody who has lost a job, or his company is going to retrench, how would an organization like yourself actually come and help, come and put forward to a company, to look at retraining instead of just retrenching? Because as an employee, if you know your company is going to retrench, you will be so worried for your life. So yes. How can companies like yours actually know beforehand and move in to help?
Very good point, because in this uncertain time, people, as I said, sometimes tend to make irrational decisions, right? And the first thing to do is to calm. The communication is very important. Is to be able to let your employees know that this is is going to be tough times, but things are not as bad as people paint it out to be. The other thing is from our organization is to go back to the companies and ask them, this is a good time to review your core competency. Many business becomes weak is because they have gone astray. So this is a good time to assess the organization and the core competency, and also look at their staff competency, their employees' competency. And this is where we can play a part, because if there's a gap, then this is the best time to retrain them or to provide them with new skills and new competencies, so that they can they can actually be ready when the recovery takes place. Yeah.
So you are suggesting that all the training budgets the companies have is to use them instead of put them in cold storage in these times?
Exactly, because training should, as I said, should be continuing irregardless of whether it's a good or bad time. It's just that perhaps maybe in uncertain times, this is the best opportunity for you to let people go. If they are working shorter week, this is the best time for them to go back to schools or to classes, so that they can retrain themselves.
Allowing people to work from home is a new way of thinking in the Western countries. It's not come to Malaysia in a big force. Do you think this is the right platform, the current economic crisis, to actually start people working from the home?
I think so. I think the paradigm would change with technology taking place, because work is not where you are. Work is where you create value. Anywhere. You could be on the beach, you could be at home, so long as you create the value. And I think that's what, and I think it will change. With technology and with current development, you have jams all over the place. So people are starting to actually create value from anywhere. Could be home, could be could be this cafe. They're writing a good book. Nothing wrong with that. But I think you are right. The old paradigm of you have to be at work, will change over time when you have available technology, because it's all about output, creative output. If you can produce work, irrespective of where you are, then that's what is defined as real work.
So ultimately, if the company is trying to save costs, they can save costs by getting the employee to work from home.
Yes, in fact, telecom is taking the lead. The CEOs, I think that, as you heard, is now trying this model where he allows people to work from home. So first of all, he's saying that, in fact, it's good for the environment. You don't have more cars going to the city. And at the same time, and this is the concept that he's actually following, because work can be done anyway. You know, the old thinking is that if you're at home, then you are not doing work. I think a lot of cottage industry do that. You know, in overseas country, you know, women, you know, is a workforce that could actually be looking after their family at the same time creating, you know, real work at home as well.
When we talk about engaging, often we hear, I mean, we don't hear this word in the Malaysian work culture, engaging, but it's a word being used everywhere in the Western world. Now, when we talk about engaging here, do you think the Malaysian companies are engaging enough with their employees?
They should do more, okay? And one of the things, I've lived overseas and worked overseas for many years. And one of the things that we have to start shifting is that the old, if you like, you know, the old way of managing, or the old paradigm of managing in the 60s, 70s is what we call command and control, right? I tell you, you do. I'm the boss, and you do what I do. But today you can't. Today you got the X and Y generation and technology coming in. We have to now follow the concept of enroll and enlist, right? And we need to encourage. It's a one-on-one arrangement now. You know, if you want to keep talent, you know, that's why coaching becomes very important. Coaching is a one-on-one relationship. And today's, I think, people are more sophisticated. They want to be recognized for their ability to contribute. It's not sometimes about money. Treat me as someone that can actually contribute to the organization and at the same time help myself to grow as well.
There are a lot of programs provided by foreign universities for, they call it the lifelong learning process. I know that University Malaya has got such programs and many other universities. But you know, for the employee to embark on a journey of learning, it's going to be very difficult. Now, but do you think that companies in their training programs should actually give scholarships or provide grants for employees to go and get involved in these courses? This is like what you said earlier, this is the right time to nurture your human capital so that you can ride the economic crisis. When times are better, you are able to reap the benefits. So do you think that companies in Malaysia are giving enough grants or scholarships to their own employees to go for lifelong learning?
Very good point. I think not enough, but there is a move towards that. So many associations, many companies are encouraging that. And these companies are what we call learning organizations. They are encouraging their employees, and we should also do that in our school and university to encourage the concept of lifelong learning. Because it is very important, not only after you have left school or university, you take it to your organization, and after your career, one should continue with lifelong learning, because learning doesn't stop. The day that, you know, we stop breathing, that's the day that we stop learning. Yeah.
If the companies are willing to invest time and money to retrain, then the employees must be willing to learn new skills in an effort to adapt to the changing environment created by the global economic crisis. Thank you.